This is a TLC recording. Thanksgiving Tumult. A family gathering gone awry. Hey everyone. I never thought I'd be posting about my family's Thanksgiving drama, but here I am, fingers tapping away as a way to make sense of the chaotic day that unfolded right in the heart of our supposedly peaceful holiday celebration. Buckle up, folks, because this is a wild ride. So the day started like any other Thanksgiving. The aroma of roasting turkey filled the house, and the sound of chopping and laughter echoed from the kitchen. My family, a colorful mix of personalities, had gathered under one roof, each with their own quirks and baggage. Little did we know that the holiday cheer was about to take a nosedive into a swirling vortex of drama. The first sign of trouble came when Aunt Margaret and Uncle Joe arrived. Now, these two have a history of butting heads, and I should have known their presence would set the stage for the Thanksgiving spectacle that was about to unfold. They exchanged icy glares upon entry, and I could practically feel the tension in the air. As we gathered around the table, the initial awkwardness gave way to forced pleasantries. The turkey looked perfect, the mashed potatoes were fluffy, and the cranberry sauce sat there innocently in its bowl. Everything seemed fine, and I naively thought we might make it through the meal unscathed. But oh, how wrong I was. The first volley was fired by Aunt Margaret, who innocently or not so innocently asked Uncle Joe about a mysterious late-night phone call she had overheard. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to Uncle Joe, who, in turn, shot back accusing glances at Aunt Margaret. The tension was so thick you could have cut it with a butter knife. And that was just the beginning. As if on cue, my cousin Lisa, who fancies herself a peacemaker, decided to intervene. She suggested we all go around the table and share what we were thankful for. Now, normally this is a heartwarming tradition, but in the current context, it felt more like a setup for disaster. One by one, family members shared their gratitude, trying to ignore the proverbial elephant in the room. When it was Uncle Joe's turn, he took the opportunity to air his grievances, accusing Aunt Margaret of being too nosy and prying into his personal affairs. Aunt Margaret fired back, and before I knew it, the Thanksgiving table had turned into a battlefield of raised voices and pointed fingers. In the midst of the chaos, my younger sister Sarah, who had been quietly observing the scene, decided to make her grand entrance into the family drama. She revealed that she had secretly been dating someone Aunt Margaret strongly disapproved of, and the revelation sent shockwaves through the already turbulent atmosphere. The room erupted into chaos. Uncle Joe and Aunt Margaret's argument reached a fever pitch, with accusations flying like cranberry sauce at a food fight. Meanwhile, Sarah stormed out of the room, leaving the rest of us in a state of bewildered shock. In an attempt to salvage the sinking ship, my mom rushed after Sarah, leaving the rest of us to navigate the stormy sea of family drama. The air hung heavy with unresolved tension as we sat there, picking at our untouched Thanksgiving feast. The next few hours felt like an eternity. The once joyful celebration had devolved into a series of whispered arguments and awkward silences. The laughter that had echoed through the house earlier was replaced by the sound of doors slamming and muffled sobs. Eventually, my mom returned, her face worn and weary. She informed us that Sarah had decided to spend the rest of Thanksgiving with her mysterious significant other, and attempts to reason with her had fallen on deaf ears. The rift in our family, widened by years of buried resentment, had finally come to a head on this fateful Thanksgiving day. As the evening wore on, the remaining family members dispersed, each retreating to their respective corners of the house. The Thanksgiving decorations seemed to mock us, their festive colors now a painful reminder of the shattered illusions of a harmonious family gathering. As I sit here, recounting the events of that tumultuous Thanksgiving day, I can't help but reflect on the fragility of family dynamics. What started as a seemingly innocent holiday celebration quickly spiraled into a battlefield of unresolved conflicts and buried secrets. So, everyone, here's a cautionary tale from my family to yours. Sometimes the skeletons in the closet come out to play, and Thanksgiving might just be the stage for a drama you never saw coming. If your family gatherings are drama-free, consider yourselves lucky. And for the rest of us, well, at least we'll always have a Thanksgiving story to share. Thanksgiving surprise, family, exes, and unwanted reunions. Hey everyone. Gather around for a tale that still makes me cringe every time I think about it. The Thanksgiving surprise that went horribly wrong. It all started with good intentions. A desire to reconnect with my family and spread some holiday cheer. Little did I know that my attempt at a heartwarming surprise would turn into a Thanksgiving I'd never forget. As Thanksgiving approached, I found myself reminiscing about the good times spent with my family, particularly during the holidays. Due to work commitments and life's unpredictable twists, I hadn't been able to make it home for Thanksgiving in a few years. This year, however, I was determined to change that. Inspired by a surge of nostalgia, I concocted a plan to surprise my family and make my grand return to the Thanksgiving table. I meticulously coordinated the surprise with my siblings, who were excited about the prospect of my unexpected appearance. The plan was simple. I would fly in a day before Thanksgiving, and my siblings would pick me up from the airport, ensuring that my arrival would be a shock to the entire family. I envisioned hugs, tears, and a joyful reunion that would make up for the lost time. Fast forward to Thanksgiving morning. The anticipation bubbled within me as I stood outside my family's front door, concealed behind the wreath. My heart pounded with excitement, and I took a deep breath, ready to burst in and reveal the surprise. The door swung open, and the initial shock and joy on my family's faces were everything I had hoped for. There were hugs, tears, and exclamations of disbelief. It felt like a Hallmark movie moment. However, as the initial euphoria began to settle, I noticed a subtle shift in the atmosphere. Whispers and furtive glances were exchanged between family members, and a sense of unease crept into the room. I chalked it up to the surprise still sinking in and decided to let the day unfold, confident that the awkwardness would dissipate. Little did I know the real twist awaited me at the Thanksgiving dinner table. As we gathered around the table, the delicious aroma of roasted turkey filled the air. The festive decorations and laughter should have created the perfect holiday atmosphere, but an unspoken tension lingered. It was as if an invisible cloud hovered over the room, threatening to rain on the parade of my surprise. As I took my seat at the table, I couldn't help but notice a familiar face among the assembled guests. My ex, Sarah. To say I was taken aback would be an understatement. My mind raced to make sense of the situation. Why was she here? Had my family invited her? Or was this an awkward coincidence? I stole a glance at my siblings who avoided eye contact and fidgeted uncomfortably. Attempting to keep up appearances, I greeted Sarah with a strained smile, but the tension at the table was palpable. Awkward small talk ensued as we navigated the minefield of pleasantries. The usual Thanksgiving cheer had been replaced by an uncomfortable silence, broken only by forced laughter and clinking cutlery. As the meal progressed, it became increasingly apparent that my family had indeed invited Sarah, oblivious to the complications it might cause. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. My grand Thanksgiving surprise had morphed into a bizarre reunion with an ex I hadn't seen in years, and the circumstances were far from ideal. Desperate to salvage the situation, I tried to steer the conversation towards neutral topics, but the elephant in the room loomed large. Questions about my life post-breakup were subtly probed, and I couldn't shake the feeling that my family was playing matchmaker, unaware of the awkwardness they were subjecting us to. Amidst the strained conversations and awkward glances, I excused myself from the table, feigning the need to make a phone call. As I paced the hallway, the realization of the situation hit me like a tidal wave. I questioned the wisdom of my surprise and wished I could rewind time to reconsider the impromptu visit. Returning to the table, I found myself grappling with conflicting emotions. On one hand, I wanted to enjoy the precious moments with my family, and on the other, the presence of my ex cast a shadow over the festivities. As the evening wore on, the discomfort reached its peak, and I couldn't help but wonder how my well-intentioned surprise had spiraled into such an awkward affair. In an attempt to diffuse the tension, I pulled my siblings aside and questioned them about the unexpected guest list. They confessed that in their excitement to orchestrate my surprise visit, they had overlooked the potential complications of inviting my ex. A mix of guilt and regret washed over them as they realized the unintended consequences of their actions. As the night drew to a close, I found myself reflecting on the day's events. What was meant to be a heartwarming surprise had turned into a Thanksgiving tale filled with awkward encounters and uncomfortable moments. The festive spirit that had initially enveloped the day had been replaced by a sense of unease, leaving me to wonder if the surprise was worth the unintended drama. In the days that followed, I navigated the delicate balance of spending time with my family while grappling with the lingering discomfort of the Thanksgiving reunion. The incident became a source of family lore, a story to be retold with a mix of laughter and cringes during future holiday gatherings. So, here I am, sharing my Thanksgiving surprise gone wrong with you. Sometimes, the best laid plans can go awry. An unexpected twist can turn a heartwarming reunion into a tale of family drama and awkward encounters. If you're planning a surprise, consider all possible consequences, because you never know who might end up sharing the Thanksgiving table with you. Thanksgiving horror story: the uninvited guest in our turkey. Buckle up for a tale that still makes my stomach churn every time I think about it. The Thanksgiving meal that turned into a bizarre episode of culinary horror. I never thought I'd be sharing a story like this, but here goes nothing. It was Thanksgiving Day, and the house was abuzz with the tantalizing smells of roasting turkey, homemade pies, and all the fixings. My family had gathered for our annual feast, and spirits were high as we prepared to indulge in the bountiful spread laid out before us. Little did we know that a sinister surprise awaited us within the golden brown confines of our Thanksgiving turkey. As we circled the dining table, ready to dig into the much-anticipated meal, my mom proudly presented the pièce de résistance, the perfectly roasted turkey. The skin glistened, and the aroma was enough to make anyone's mouth water. We gathered around the table, eager to partake in the Thanksgiving tradition of expressing gratitude and, of course, devouring a delicious meal. The first clue that something was amiss came when my cousin, a bit of a dark humor enthusiast, carved into the turkey with gusto, only to pause and give an odd look. At first, we all thought he was playing a prank, maybe trying to elicit some nervous laughter around the table. But when he held up the carving knife, revealing a small, lifeless creature tucked away inside the cavity of the turkey, the room fell into a stunned silence. There it was, a small, unfortunate rodent, perfectly roasted to a crisp, nestled in the very place where we expected to find stuffing, filled with comforting flavors of Thanksgiving. The shock was palpable as we collectively gasped, a mix of horror and disbelief washing over us. It was like a scene straight out of a Thanksgiving-themed horror movie. My mom, who had spent hours meticulously preparing the feast, went from the proud architect of a delicious meal to the horrified discoverer of a culinary calamity. Panic set in, and she frantically tried to make sense of the situation while simultaneously apologizing profusely. The room erupted into chaos as we debated what to do. Some recoiled in disgust, while others tried to maintain a sense of humor in the face of the unexpected Thanksgiving guest. The unfortunate turkey thief, however, became the center of attention, a grim reminder that our seemingly perfect holiday meal had taken a dark and unexpected turn. After a collective decision to abandon the tainted turkey, we scrambled to salvage the Thanksgiving dinner. The mood was understandably dampened, but the resilient spirit of the holiday prevailed. We raided the fridge for any alternative dishes that could rescue our meal from the clutches of the ill-fated turkey. As we gathered around the makeshift buffet, the memory of the uninvited guest lingered like a ghost at the feast. Laughter was strained, and the attempts at light conversation felt hollow. The once prominent aroma of the perfectly cooked turkey was now replaced by a lingering scent of burnt fur and an eerie discomfort that settled over the dining room. The tale of the Thanksgiving turkey surprise quickly became a family legend, recounted with a mix of horror and amusement in the years that followed. Friends and distant relatives who heard the story couldn't believe the bizarre twist that turned a festive meal into a surreal experience. In the aftermath of the incident, my family adopted a more cautious approach to holiday meals. Thanksgiving took on a new layer of suspense as we nervously eyed the main course, half expecting another uninvited guest to make an appearance. The memory of that Thanksgiving dinner served us a reminder that sometimes even the most carefully planned celebrations can take unexpected turns, leaving us with stories to share and a newfound appreciation for the unpredictability of life. So let my Thanksgiving horror story be a cautionary tale as you prepare for your own holiday feasts. Check your turkeys thoroughly, because you never know what might be lurking within the confines of that seemingly innocent bird. May your Thanksgiving meals be free of unexpected surprises, and if you do encounter a culinary calamity, may you have the resilience to turn it into a legendary family story. This has been a TLC recording. Thank you for listening, and please be sure to subscribe.